Hey, I'm Bella Jackson, and my presentation was trying to answer the question, do all lives matter in Asheville? I've been involved in the Black Lives Matter movement in Asheville, and we often hear all lives matter as a rebuttal to our protests. So I was wondering if that was in fact true. What does it mean for a life to matter? Black Lives Matter originally started as a response to the extrajudicial killing of an unarmed black teenager in Florida, Trayvon Martin, but has since evolved, and their platform includes equity in education and healthcare and criminal justice. Historically, across the nation and in Asheville, on a policy level, on an institutional level, there have been many ways that we've shown that Black lives do not matter, that all lives do not matter, through Jim Crow laws, segregation, redlining, urban renewal, eminent domain laws, institutional racism, even integration in its own way devalued the Black community. Johnny Grant is a local woman, a Black woman here, and she shared a story from her youth in Asheville about venturing outside of what was the acceptable area for Black people to be in downtown Asheville, and what that felt like on a personal and individual level, how our laws and the way we treat Black people institutionally translated into her interpersonal experience of being unwelcome and stepping outside a line she didn't know she wasn't allowed to cross, and seeing racism firsthand as a child and having that illusion of everything being equal being broken. Today, on an institutional level, Dr. Mullen has done a lot of work and research to kind of quantify the effect that racism continues to have on our city. And I really like this quote from him: "We left in place ideas, processes, and mechanisms that still mirror Jim Crow." And this is from some of his research. The outcomes that we're still getting is that Black median income is still 30% less than white for white Asheville. That while 83% of our white students are performing on grade level, only 26% of our Black students are. So why is it that we get these disparate outcomes for people who the only difference is race in the same city? I thought these graphs illustrated that. The top graph shows us that marijuana use among 18 to 25-year-olds is pretty similar for white and Black people in America, with whites being slightly higher. But if you look at the bottom, you'll see that Black people are arrested at nearly 4 times the rates of whites. So it's not that we're doing different things, but we're still getting different outcomes. And then a more current story from a local woman who experienced racism was from Cheryl Johnson, who was racially profiled while shopping at Macy's in the Asheville Mall. Cheryl Johnson is a well-respected community member who's a professional woman, and there's absolutely no reason for her to experience this harassment. And this is a quote from her saying, "This irrational behavior can only be explained by a focus on my race rather than on my behavior or on the facts." And then the question remains for when people of color die in our city by our police that we pay with our tax money. Were they also being racially profiled? Why do we still have white supremacy, white supremacist institutions and ways of thinking within such a liberal city as Asheville? So I looked into some of the research that people had done. Justin Livingston had conducted an experiment where the only difference in mock jury trials was the race of the defendants. And his evidence clearly showed that when the defendant is white, the jurors would forget the bad things and just remember like the good parts about them. And when the defendant was Black, the same jurors their memories would automatically highlight the bad about the person and forget the humanizing details. And another study, Lincoln Killian, showed that even if we are aware of our racism and we say we don't act on it, that it's not true. It's an unconscious thing, and it still manifests in our actions. So what can we do about the institutional and interpersonal racism and white supremacy that still exists in Asheville, in a liberal city like ours? SURGE is a local group showing up for racial justice, and they're tackling both parts of this work with exploring white privilege, which is changing our thinking and exploring all of our actions and our subconscious thoughts and judgments about each other, which would hopefully change the interpersonal ways that this plays out in our city. And then the other part is dismantling the legacies of white supremacy, all these institutions we still have that are rooted in white ways of thinking and white ideas of what is right. All lives will matter in our city only when Black lives matter, and women's lives and queer lives and homeless lives and poor folks' lives and trans lives. We can't rush to have this hippie inclusive brotherhood and skip over the part about justice and rectifying our past that brought us here. Thank you. All right, any questions?
What non-for-profit you work for? Like anything related?
Well, currently I'm the board chair of Just Economics. I work with a lot of nonprofits. Just Economics, we do living wage certifications in Asheville, and we teach classes with low-wage workers. And a lot of our class content covers bridging the racism that exists within the working class, because until we see each other struggle and advocate together as a unit, they're just going to continue to divide us, and the working class and poor people of our city will never be able to work together to advance ourselves.
As a member of these organizations, what forms of institutionalized racism have you seen personally?
Personally, I have a long list of stories. I mean, you know, I walk a line. I grew up in an interracial family in South Georgia. I have 6 Black and biracial siblings, and I was the only white child. And like I learned young, you know, there's certain places you go where you don't want to have that part of your family with you because they're going to treat you different. And still today in my life, when I go to DSS, sometimes I don't want the rest of my family to come, or when I have to go interact with certain institutions, you know. And like when we're at the mall, we get treated differently if it's just me with like a girlfriend, or if it's me with my husband, my children. It happens all the time. Like, I think I would be hard pressed to name somewhere it doesn't happen. All right, thank y'all.